Welcome back to another episode of What's New in Beauty. My name is Nia Lee, and I'm super excited to have you guys here. If it's your first time tuning in, this is essentially the podcast where I love to talk about all new and exciting things happening in the beauty industry, and of course, give my 2 cents on it. So jumping straight in, I wanted to talk about the launch of Act and I believe it's Acre. They're stepping into home goods with their new filtered showerhead. The 5-year-old indie brand has pretty much, dominated the space in hair care, particularly with their actual products. And now they're entering into a whole new category, expanding its scalp care focus with the launch of the new product duo, a shower head and filters. The filters, which launched on Tuesday, are the first of its kind, according to Helen Reevy, the co-founder and creative director. And they're approved by a trachеologist, which is a hair and scalp specialist. In addition, each houses 12 different filters and a proprietary blend of KDF55, calcium sulfite, and coconut activated carbon, all of which help purify and filter shower water. Now, continuing from this article from glossy.co, it's now available on the brand site and also on Sephora. It retails for $120, and the filters, which essentially need to be replaced every 6 months, are available to purchase for $32 separately. And it's an easy installation. The shower head comes with plumber's tape and a wrench, and in the installation, they say takes about 60 seconds. And yeah, then you're pretty much good to go. If you go on their Instagram right now, they've got a bunch of content that talks about how to utilize how to go about utilizing the actual filter and making the switch and installing it into your shower. And it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty simple and easy, which I like. But I thought what was really interesting about this, before I continue, was if you guys have not heard, like there's been a wave of, obviously, especially in this space of beauty, and also as we talk more things about wellness, about people just wanting better experiences with their beauty products. This immediately made me remember about Jolie, and particularly Dieux Skin, however you want to call it, and them coming out the gate and kind of dominating the quote unquote shower filter head or filter space, all about talking about clean water. And, if you're going to be obviously using all these ingredients and using all these products, but if your shower filter, which particularly like depending on where you are in the world, or however you are, if you're in North America or South America, or again, in other areas of the world, Africa, Asia, the whole gambit. Even though I think some of these companies, I don't think do too much international stuff. But what I think is really interesting is they came out the gate kind of saying, this is our lane, and they honestly blew up. I remember I kept getting ads on TikTok about their shower head particularly. And I went on the site to kind of just see what was going on, to see if this is something that maybe I want to try. I mean, it's sleek. I mean, shower filters have existed, right? But this was like a very cool, aesthetically pleasing, elevated take on the shower filter. And you've probably just been seeing, this is just like the wave of beauty nowadays, or skincare or wellness or anything in relation to that. It's like, what is the thing in the world that exists that is boring? And how do we make it cooler, and how do we make it adaptable to whoever our ideal clientele is, especially in this age where people want their homes to be aesthetically pleasing, and particularly for content purposes and certain things like that. Or maybe even just, wanting, again, something more sleek and, really fits the design of their homes and certain things like that. Of course, like Airbnbs and, the rise of all these things. I mean, home decor and home goods have definitely been seeing a skyrocket, definitely once the pandemic happened, but also post-pandemic as well too. But with Act+Acre getting into this space, especially starting out as a brand that was focusing on actual product, particularly for hair, like serums and, certain things like that. Now this is them, kind of saying, hey, this is the natural next step for our brand. And the co-founder and CEO speaks more about this particularly, because at the end of the day, when we're having a conversation about scalp health and hair health, water is a big part of that. And so to me, it's such a smart move for Act+Acre to go ahead and do this, because it is truly a testament to, if you're a brand that says this is our focus, this is a thing that we want to do, this is where the category that we're entering in, because no other brand is doing this really successfully. This is almost like them getting to the root of the issue in a sense. And, although it is, it's definitely pricey. And of course there are, again, if you're somebody who, maybe cannot afford a $120 and not to mention a $115 shower head and filter subscription every 3 months, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, why would I even want this? What is the point? But Act+Acre, their whole thing is about scalp health and, of course, your hair being truly healthy. And so this kind of speaks to that even further. And if you go on their site, they talk about this being a universal shower head that filters hard water, heavy metals, chlorine, other contaminants to essentially improve scalp health, hair health, and shine. And of course, they say it strengthens and hydrates hair, restores bounce and shine, removes water contaminants that cause scalp irritation and dryness, which is something that does happen to people often. I mean, again, this is just such a smart move, because if we're really trying to tackle the issues that people have with their hair, it's kind of like sometimes with skincare where, yes, we can talk about how, products are going to be the thing that helps solve, whether it's, blemishes or hyperpigmentation or, dryness or excessive oiliness. But it's kind of like if you're not willing to actually look inward, which we all know, whatever you are consuming, whatever you're eating, whatever's going on, even things like environments or things like that, like those things can be more of a disruptor to your skin, more so than just, maybe not using the right product in certain things. So to me, them speaking to this being the natural next step makes complete sense, considering this is exactly the area that they're particularly in. And so again, the co-founder and CEO said a quote here in Glossy saying a lot of people moved during COVID, which, we have to speak to that. They spoke to that. And all of a sudden they had hard water and their hair wasn't used to it. And they speak to this inspiring them to figure out how to get water fixed and realize there wasn't anything on the market for it at the time. And something that I also wanted to speak to here is with the popularity of the everything shower hashtag or trend that was super popular on YouTube as well as TikTok, and of course made its way onto Instagram that, blew up particularly last year with this wellness boom. The beauty shower head has become a opportunity for growth and innovation. And of course, Act+Acre shower head launch follows the several brands, including Canopy and Jolie, as I mentioned, which launched their shower heads in 2023 and 2021, which again, I just think this is smart. I love when brands do smart shit. Like this to me is really getting to the root. And it's like, yes, we sell product, we sell hair care, but we also now are getting into the space of almost a new category altogether. But it's very interesting to see a brand do this, because obviously Jolie exists and that's its own entity. And who knows, maybe they have plans to actually launch, a product-based brand, actual skincare products or hair care products as well. But the fact that Act+Acre came out the gate with those products and now we're entering into home goods, I mean, this puts them into a completely different stratosphere as well too, about saying, hey, we're wanting to do things a little bit differently now, and enter into this space that speaks again to who our ideal clientele is, who are dealing with things like oily scalps and dry and itchy scalps and hair irritation and thinning and all these things that can particularly happen, as you're just dealing with hair. And the fact that it's also like the brand itself is founded by a tracheologist, I think also adds just more validity to it. And something that I just hope to see more of going forward in the beauty industry, just more experts and professionals creating brands, because I think we've just been so inundated with celebrity owned beauty brands and influencer beauty brands, or people launching brands that we've never heard of or never seen use a product before. I mean, they can't even get the rollout, right? And here you have a brand that was started again by a professional who's still active. And I love as well that, how active she is into the content itself. I mean, I love founder-led content, but I don't think founders need to be on your page all the time, particularly on social. I mean, there's other other areas where founders can shine. But the fact that the founder is as active as she is and showcasing so many things, to me, again, this speaks very highly of where they're trying to go. And if you even go on their site, like everything kind of feels like you're going to like a legit doctor's office almost. And you are essentially like walking into a doctor's office or walking into an expert's office or a specialist office and getting like almost like a diagnosis, or not maybe a diagnosis, but a prescription for hair care that actually works. And so I've heard a ton of people who've loved Act+Acre for years, and for them entering into this space of, you know, an actual home good, a shower head filter, and making it, you know, relatively accessible to people as well too. I mean, $120 is quite pricey, but even if you go on Amazon, the range for shower head filters or certain things like that kind of are within that $50 to $100 range, depending on the one that you're actually getting. And if you love Act+Acre and you trust them with your scalp, and of course, you know, their whole thing is skincare for your scalp, then this just makes sense for them to enter into this space as well too. And the comments and people who have been, you know, reviewing it so far have said they've loved it. One thing I would have loved to see as well with this rollout, and something that I just want to see across the board with a lot of brands that come out with things that I deem to be innovative, or I see that they're entering into a new category and maybe, you know, people aren't maybe used to this brand. And Act+Acre has been around for, you know, 5 years now. They've been around for a minute. They sell at Sephora. So they're doing pretty well for themselves. But I just wish the rollout would have just been a little bit more eventful or just more storytelling, because I think when it comes to things like, you know, hair and hair care and scalp health, you know, those are things, if you're not really in the world of it as of yet, or maybe hasn't had something, or maybe you haven't had something in that space that has affected you to, you know, maybe a severe point, or you don't have to worry about things like hair thinning or, you know, extreme dandruff, or, you know, certain things with hair that, you know, may or may not be your main focus, or maybe you just never heard of Act+Acre before because you're just, again, not looking for it because you're looking for so many other products on the market. I just wish the rollout had been just a little bit more eventful. I wish there would have been more storytelling. I wish maybe if there was an actual campaign for this shower head. It looks like it looks primarily like this is just, you know, hey, we rolled it out. I'm sure they probably have stuff coming up. I mean, it literally did just launch, and just on their stories and checking their tags and certain things like that. Looks like they sent out some products to influencers and certain creators, but I don't know. I would have hoped for more of a cohesive rollout that maybe even spoke to more storytelling and people's journey when it comes to dealing with product or dealing with things like, you know, me not feeling confident about my hair or my scalp or certain things like that. And now this, you know, shower head filter is now the thing that I use now. And also maybe like showing how easy it is to actually go ahead and, you know, actually install it into your shower. I don't know. I wanted more, and who knows, there's probably more coming, but for the initial rollout to really stamp the approval of the masses, and considering it is a new category for Act+Acre as well too, I just wish there had been a little bit more of an exciting rollout. I mean, I've seen brands who have rolled out lip glosses, which is now the thing that everybody is, and their mom is doing right now, you know, and making a big splash about it and making a huge campaign out of it. So and that's within the same category of products that they have. So I don't know. I just wish there had been a little bit more of a rollout there, a little bit more storytelling, maybe even a little bit more sophisticated marketing assets as well too, just on their social and on their site. It just looks like, hey, we launched it, it's here. But like I said, maybe they have more things coming up. But congrats to Act+Acre for entering into a new category. I'm super duper excited to see more brands just experiment and get into new categories and just do different innovative shit, because I think we're just tired of seeing the same things over and over and over again. Now, next up, I wanted to talk about this as soon as I saw it, and I am not a girl who like feels like I have to tap into every single trend, but when everybody and their mom were talking about the Stanley water bottles and making a big fuss, I was like, what is all of this hubbub about? And then an article comes out as I'm reading from Retail Boss, is the Stanley water bottle maker is now being sued over lead contamination in a class action lawsuit. So again, going back to Retail Boss, the company behind the Stanley brand cups, Pacific Maker International, otherwise known as PMI, is currently embroiled in a lawsuit over allegations of false advertising and fraud concerning lead content in their popular tumblers. Their class action lawsuit filed on February 1st, 2024 is in Los Angeles Superior Court and accuses PMI of misleading consumers by failing to disclose the presence of lead in the sealing material used for its vacuum insulation, which is so crazy to me because it's like, the amount of people that have just been Stanley water bottle obsessed, like particularly on TikTok. I don't see it too much on Instagram, but TikTok, as we know, is its own subgenre, subculture. Like it is really a different world over there. Like even when I try to talk to my clients about like, they're like, hey, we know you do work with Instagram and Facebook and certain things like that, but how about TikTok? I'm like, listen, TikTok is an entirely new beast. So I'm just letting you know that right off the bat. It is literally not the same. Like they are literally completely different apps and platforms. But the amount of people that were hyping up Stanley, the amount of people that went super duper crazy over the Stanley and Starbucks collaboration that happened a few weeks ago. I mean, it's almost crazy how people are going like acting over like a water bottle, which from my understanding has been around for years. But, the power of marketing, the power of, changing your audience and doing things differently and slightly rebranding to have an entirely new audience that is now into you. Because before, Stanley was heavily marketed towards men, and particularly men who were, I believe, in construction. And it just had a very quote unquote manly take on the brand. Now women are going crazy over Stanley. And so hence why they've been able to get the boom and success that they have been. But now with this class action lawsuit is crazy because I know people who've spent thousands upwards to maybe millions of dollars on their Stanley cups. Like people literally on TikTok will show you their entire cabinet full of Stanley cups. It's like, what are we collecting? Pokemon? And for people who are also collecting Crocs as well too, like it's a whole thing, but neither here nor there. So despite the marketing, the reusable cups are safe. The plaintiffs argue that PMI knew its products were manufactured using toxic compound and did not notify consumers of this fact. And the lawsuit has brought forth by 4 women who claim that the company's failure to disclose the lead content misled consumers, particularly young professional women of childbearing age, who are the target demographic for Stanley cups, as I mentioned there. Now, I actually want to go over to ClassAction.org, who is speaking about this even further as well, and talk about a little bit more of the lawsuit itself. So the 25-page Stanley Cup lawsuit says that although PMI touted the products for years as safe, the company failed to disclose to the public that its manufacturing process for the drinking tumblers, whose popularity exploded with the help of social media influencers and brand partnerships, included lead. And again, they falsely advertised the Stanley Cups as BPA free, which I've always felt like has been a scam in its own sense, because people will be talking about BPA, and I know there's a full word for the acronym, but I just feel like I went to the dollar store and saw water bottles that said BPA free. And I don't know. There's certain things that I just feel like do feel very like just insert marketing term here, and BPA free feels like that. And in this sense, if they're slapping BPA free and there's lead, then we have to have a bigger conversation there. But again, going back, PMI falsely advertised its Stanley Cup as BPA free and made of stainless steel, while failing to warn that lead is a key ingredient in the cup's vacuum seal, which, if damaged, could expose a user or their child to lead. The proposed class action lawsuit claims, stressing that PMI's target demographic, again, is young professional women of childbearing age. Now, again, we want to speak a little bit more about the case. So the case accuses Seattle-based PMI of knowingly misleading the public by failing to disclose a fact that reasonable customers would want to know before buying a drinking cup, especially since a bevy of similar products do not use lead or pose any lead-related risk. Now, PMI had a duty to disclose its use of lead before enticing millions of customers to unwillingly or unwittingly buy its drinkware. The lawsuit scathes inside of allowing consumers to decide for themselves and their families whether to accept any risk associated with using a lead contaminated drinking cup. PMI kept customers in the dark so as to not interfere with its bonanza of influencer-driven sales, especially sales to young women. Now, the Platons asked the court for a permanent injunction requiring PMI to disclose any lead or other toxins in its products in California, refunds for proposed class members for what they paid for lead-contaminated Stanley Cups, and punitive damages for PMI's deliberate conceal of its use of lead and of the possibility that the damage to a cup that damage to a cup could expose consumers to lead. Now, that's so crazy to me, like this is even happening, because when I tell you, I have seen everybody. Stanley to me seems to think that's going to unite women across the world. Because I've seen Asian women, I've seen white women, I've seen Black women, I've seen Indian, I've seen so many different women of different walks of life, of different ages, talk about Stanley. Like, I was literally just watching a vlog the other day of a creator I was following, and she was talking about how she's obsessed with her Stanley Cup. And I'm just trying to figure out, is this just not a tumbler with a straw, y'all? Like, is there really a big difference? But it clearly seems to be, considering the different colors, the different sizes, and just the overall aesthetic that Stanley has been able to cultivate with the influencers and the brand partnerships and everybody that seems to be involved. And I want to actually talk about the viral marketing phenomenon a little bit as ClassAction.org speaks to, because in 2019, PMI launched a new marketing initiative to increase sales of its Adventure Quencher travel tumbler. Ultimately, the sales of the product skyrocketed as social media influencers were able to tap into PMI's core demographic of young women. The case relays that with the popularity of the Adventure Quencher tumbler came the launch and viral explosion of other Stanley brand cups designed with similar sleek aesthetics and utilizing the same insulation system. Now, the Stanley brand went from 70 million in annual sales in previous years to over 750 million in 2023. Holy crap. That is insane. But the power of marketing, y'all. Just want to put that out there. Adding that Stanley Cups became the model of choice among a lot of millennial and Gen Z women, many of whom are mothers. However, in January of this year, 2024, a number of viral social media posts revealed that the Stanley Cups contain lead. The complaint continues essentially upon this news. PMI actually admitted on its websites that the reports were true. Now, this is really crazy to me how this has just all blown up in PMI's face, but not to mention, it's like, why was none of this disclosed? Like, these are actual serious things where some people will say marketing and advertising is shady and it's full of liars and it's full of distrustful people and distrustful brands. I mean, I've definitely had it in certain instances where people will say, oh, social media is fake and it's not real and it's this. And of course, we're all trying to find realness and authenticity with even things like brand partnerships and influencers and certain things like that. But when we have things like this that happen, considering how much of money they've spent and how much they've been able to get now with this rise and boom of changing over their audience and putting their marketing dollars towards now blowing Stanley up in this world of, millennial moms and Gen Z moms and just women across the board. I mean, like, these individuals have put Stanley on the map, and here it is, the product's all contaminated with lead, which is actually incredibly scary considering as they're saying that their target market is millennial or particularly childbearing women, which is a whole thing on its own. Because I mean, hey, if we are drinking anything out of a cup that has lead and we are pregnant, what are we talking about? Like, this is actual serious stuff. Now, according to the filing, PMI admitted in January 2024 that its Stanley Cups contain lead. Per the case, PMI's website relays that the company employs its manufacturing process as industry standard pellet to seal the vacuum insulation at the base. And this sealing material includes some lead, is what they're claiming. And once again, saying that once sealed, this vacuum insulation area is covered with a durable stainless steel layer, making it inaccessible to consumers. Now, the lawsuit, again, lastly, contends that PMI professed awareness in its explanation that the Stanley Cups and their lead-containing vacuum seal could become damaged through ordinary use of the product, in particular by highlighting that the tumbler is ineligible for the company's lifetime warranty. In the rare occurrence, the base cap of the product comes off and exposes the seal. And again, according to the lawsuit, several experts have opinioned that the lead content in Stanley Cups is concerning, which one researcher stating plainly that if that bottom seal comes off, all bets are off. Lead is so toxic that you just can't take chances with it. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, researchers are involved. So many individuals are involved. I mean, if Stanley is raking in $750 million, and I know majority of that is in the US, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that is also in Canada as well. Like, that's some really scary, almost serious stuff. And not to mention the bigger conversation of, one, the lead, but also misleading people, like actively misleading people as well. Or as they're saying, selectively disclosing, which is a really serious thing and have put companies into big trouble, because at the end of the day, whether you're putting it in fine print, whether you're adding it into it, whether you're having it quite bold on your website, like, all those things matter considering the type of company that you are. And so at the end of the day, this case, you know, particularly detailed here, is to represent only California consumers. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Stanley, you know, only has users in California, of course. I mean, 730 million, that's absolutely insane. But at the end of the day, they're also claiming here on ClassAction.org that if you don't live in California and you're interested in taking action, you can actually contact a class action attorney in your area to get a free consultation, of course, but then to possibly file a new class action lawsuit as well. And so, yeah, this ClassAction.org is also saying, how do you get involved? I mean, hey, if you are a Stanley Cup user, I would say get involved. I mean, at the end of the day, these companies, man, like, you know, sometimes if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I truly do believe that sometimes. I think at the end of the day, you know, there's obviously, you know, marketing is important, right? I work in marketing. I work in social. So for me, I understand, you know, wanting to obviously have a product that appeals to your ideal clientele. And that's also something really interesting as well to speak to about, you know, when a brand is heavily marketing something, it's not to say that there's nothing wrong about doing that, but sometimes when a brand is focused so much on marketing, and not on the safety of their consumers or the safety of their customers, or making just, you know, great products that don't contain lead, you know, we get into a situation where, yes, the brands, and I've even said this in passing, where companies will spend, you know, maybe hundreds of dollars on product, or maybe sometimes even thousands, but they'll spend, you know, triple digit thousands and millions and sometimes even billions of dollars on their marketing. And so it seems like that's kind of what Stanley was doing, and they were riding high. You know, people were collecting it. People were showing how to make recipes. It was a whole thing. It literally took over the internet and TikTok, and definitely has been running rampant, and even in retail as well. But it's scary to know that, you know, a company of that size, that of course has been around for a while, who can just easily make a pivot, but also not disclose this. And at the end of the day, the only people that are truly affected by this are the consumers themselves. So my thoughts and prayers to everybody involved. I hope, you know, they're able to win the class action lawsuit, because again, this needs to be set a precedent for any brand at the end of the day. And not to mention, Stanley can afford it, because like I said, they've been around for years, decades now, and they are making $730 million when they used to make 70. Like, we need to have a bigger conversation here about, again, like the power of marketing, but also misleading marketing. So like I said, thoughts and prayers. Now, I wanted to also talk about Hailey Bieber and Rhode and their cleanser that they came out with, that I feel like kind of went under the radar a little bit. Like, I feel like the allure of Rhode Beauty has kind of just, it's kind of died a little bit. And I've talked about Hailey Bieber before, you know, her co-opting the brownie glaze lip, and I've talked about the brand. I mean, I've bought some of the products as well too, because I'm a consumer of beauty, and I like kind of knowing what's cool, what's not, whatever. The only products I think I really like from that company is and when I say I think, I mean because obviously I've not tried the cleanser as of yet, but I only think I really like the lip products from Rhode. And they've come out with other lip products and limited edition things, and they did the collaboration with Krispy Kreme and the whole nine. But I feel like with this cleanser launch, this Pineapple Fresh is what they're essentially calling it, I don't know. I just feel like nobody cared about it. And this news kind of came out a little bit a while ago, but I just thought it was really interesting because this is their first cleanser. I remember the initial time that they came out, I think a lot of people were kind of side-eyeing them and saying, why didn't you come out with the cleanser? But cleansers are hard. And, at the end of the day, like, people usually typically have their favorite cleanser. So to come out the gate with a cleanser can kind of be hard. Coming out with, serums and lip products and, basic creams kind of gets it done, right? Considering, they had other ingredients in it that were exciting and new and different. But earlier in January, she launched, essentially declared yellow as the color of the month. She changed over the whole, not necessarily her, but the Rhode team. They came out, they stamped yellow as the color to focus on. And even just the marketing, like, it's very beachy, it's very sunny, it's giving Summer Fridays tease. I'm just like, why not come out with this in the summer? Like, it's January, it's cold. Nobody can relate to you being all beachy on the beach and snorkeling and whatnot. And I also don't get it from the cleanser perspective, but that's just neither here nor there. They essentially set to launch their first ever cleanser, Pineapple Refresh, which strives to get rid of skincare's beloved double cleansing method as a once and done alternative. And just speaking here from this article in Teen Vogue, of course, January 17th announced the launch of their cleanser. They're calling it a new daily cleansing experience designed with unique texture, and just going on their site as well too. So it looks like a nice cleanser, but it looks all right. Like, it's a refreshing balm to lather daily cleanser formulated with polyglutamic acid, or PGA. I think that's how I say it, polyglutamate acid, or PGA, green tea extract, and pineapple enzyme to leave your skin clean, soft, and bouncy post-rinse, gentle enough for morning and evening, and of course, great for sensitive skin. And of course, some of the call-out ingredients here, and some of the key ingredients, of course, PGA, green tea extract, pineapple enzyme. PGA is plumping. It's a very, moisturizing humectant. The green tea extract is for soothing, for calming, antioxidant protection, of course. And of course, pineapple enzyme is a natural exfoliant. And so it'll run you $45, y'all. Which I think is a little expensive for a cleanser, but I've strictly said to myself, I'm not spending crazy amount of money on certain products anymore, and a cleanser, definitely not. When Innisfree, their $13 cleanser, I believe, which, if you know Innisfree, K-Beauty, that whole span, they have what's good over there. And for $45, I must be paying for the allure of Rhode and for some extra coins going into Hailey Bieber's pocket, because $45 for a cleanser is absolutely insane. That's just me. But mind you, I've spent more money on cleansers before and product, but they've been from household name brands like a Peter Thomas Roth, like a Dr. Dennis Gross, like a Murad. So I've done that. But with Rhode, who to me classifies as an indie brand, $45 for a cleanser is insane, but that's just me. But I like the innovation of the balm to lather cleanser. I think that's kind of different. I think we're definitely in a, double cleansing era. I mean, again, skincare is gonna run beauty for a while. So for me, it makes sense for her to come out with this. I would have probably liked a summer launch as well too, because I think the rollout of the actual, beachy themes, and this being pineapple and tropical, like, this definitely could have been a rollout particularly for the summer, but neither here nor there. The girls need their cleanser in January. And I did like the rollout of it, kind of, sort of. I did like just how it was, again, very influencer based, very much, all the girlies were able to get into it. And it looks like a decent cleanser. And I'll be really interested to see what else Rhode comes out with this year. But I did feel like this launch was a little bit anticlimactic, and $45 for a cleanser is absolutely bonkers. That's just me, though. That's literally just me. It is a gentle daily cleanser, so you can use it on a daily. It doesn't dry out the skin. It leaves your skin refreshed. And of course, Hailey Bieber did her thing where, she showed how to use the product and whatnot. And one thing I would just want to say before I just finish out with this, I just feel like Rhode will never work without Hailey Bieber present. And so it'll just be really interesting to see where the brand goes in the next 5 years or the next 10 years, because I just feel like, again, very similarly to Rare Beauty, which I know Hailey and Selena, they're not on the best terms, but I just feel like Rhode literally does not work without Hailey Bieber present, because the brand and the products are just meh, like they're not revolutionary at all. And I just saw recently Rhode is going to be coming out with a accessory. So it looks like they're getting into accessories and merch and all that good stuff, which if you'd listened to my 2 podcast episodes previous to this, I talked about how for 2024, your beauty brand has, you got to launch merch. You got to launch an offshoot from just product, because if we're really interested about building a brand, that means there's so many other areas that you can get into. So it looks like Miss Hailey Bieber and Rhode are entering into tools now, or branded merch, where she essentially took a photo or a selfie or something where she had the lip product and it was embedded into her phone case, which I thought was kind of cool. But also again, it looks like it's only going to be able to fit Rhode lip products. So of course, ignite you to want to buy the Rhode lip product to buy the case, or buy the case and the lip product at the same time, I'm sure. So again, she's a businesswoman, so she understands all the ins and outs, but I just don't feel like the brand will work without her. So I'll really just be interested to see what the rollout of Rhode is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's just how I feel, because the brand itself, nothing is revolutionary about the brand whatsoever. Nothing is really truly I have to stop what I'm doing. But I know girlies and the guys love Hailey, and by adjacent will love Rhode, right? Because brands like Refi Beauty exist that looks very similar to Rhode. And whenever Refi decides to get into skincare, it's going to look the exact same. And like I mentioned before, brands like Ilia, brands like Say, even let's throw in Act+Acre in there. They all kind of have the same look and feel, even though they're selling different products to different audiences. But I just feel like, just all in all, nothing is super revolutionary about Rhode, and I just want them to take more risks. I want them to do different things. The only thing that has been really exciting about the brand is every now and again, they'll try out different ingredients and put those into those products, but nothing is really, and of course the collaboration with Krispy Kreme was cute for a week or 2, but nothing is really revolutionary about the brand. Nothing is really innovative outside of the fact that this is just Hailey Bieber's brand. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Hopefully everybody loves the cleanser. I don't think I'm going to be purchasing it. Maybe if Rhode decides to come to Sephora, which I think is definitely the plan for them. I mean, maybe Ulta before Sephora, but I have no doubt it'll probably be in Sephora before it is in Ulta. But I'll be really interested to see, if it does launch. And if it does, that's probably the only way I'm going to try it. But like I said, $45 for a cleanser is absolutely bonkers, but that's just me. Anyways, I just wanted to close out here as well with another brand that's actually going to be set to launch in Sephora, and that's all about Dieux Skin. If you didn't know, Dieux Skin is pretty much I want to say the millennial, the young millennial Gen Z brand. They came out the gate with their reusable eye masks that everybody and their mom loves. And that definitely was their claim to fame for the last, I want to say 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years. But they've since then launched a plethora of products, face care products, particularly Instant Angel, their Arcol, their Deliverance, Air Angel. They've launched, gel creams, moisturizers, eye gels, serums, the whole 9. Charlotte Poller, the CEO and founder, or the co-founder, I should say, she's been documenting also their launch, their journey to launching skincare as well, and SPF. So I have no doubt that's probably coming this year, but they put out an announcement and a teaser that they're actually going to be launching, and they didn't say that they're launching into Sephora, but you know me, I love the comment section, and somebody announced that they saw them on the app and that they're freaking out, and and so they're going to be launching into Sephora. I actually originally saw this on Rudy Berry's stories, which is really interesting because she's going to be doing a collaboration launch with Buble. They're launching a mascara. This is their second collaboration and whatnot. But I actually saw it on her stories first, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And that's really dope because I know a ton of people love Dieux Skin, and I know a lot of people love Charlotte and just being an expert and a journalist in this space and just a vision when it comes to being authentic in the skincare space, and just all her knowledge and everything she's just been able to do in the beauty industry so far. And of course, I mentioned this topic after Rhode because Hailey Bieber and Charlotte are relatively close, I believe. I think also right around the time that the cleanser was launching, Charlotte was kind of also part of that PR rollout, testing out the product and whatnot. So just wanted to add that in, that Dieux Skin is coming to Sephora, which is exciting. And what I also thought was really, really interesting and just truly a testament to when people love your brand is when someone drops in your comment section of one of your posts on social media that like, you need to launch this other product or you need to launch this other thing. And somebody asked, can we get a Dieux lip balm? Which I checked another post of them and they had a lip balm teaser in one of their other social media posts, which I thought was really cool. So it definitely looks like this year is going to be a big year for Dieux Skin. I'm really, really excited to see how it all comes together. I don't think they're probably going to be coming to Canada anytime soon, but like I said, I'm excited for the Sephora rollout. I'm excited for them to get into lip care, which is definitely the theme for 2024, 2023 and 2024. And also, I'm really also excited for them to come out with sunscreen, because I think that'll be incredibly revolutionary for their brand. But with all that being said, y'all, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of What's New in Beauty. I appreciate everybody that tunes in. Before I even make the announcement on social media, I know you guys are already downloading the episode and tapping in, but if you have any thoughts, of course, DM me on IG at Socially Savvy Nia, connect with me and all that good stuff. And I'm super duper excited to just get back to it. It's been exciting, Q1 already, and there's been so many things happening in the beauty world. So I'm just excited to document it all and give my 2 cents, and appreciate you guys for tuning in. But without further ado, I'll catch you guys in the next episode.